Hello, today we have Gary Jacob, the Chief Executive Officer of OKYO Pharma, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker OKYO. Gary, welcome.
Pleasure to speak with you, Craig.
Same here. OKYO is presently developing an innovative therapy called OK101 to target ocular diseases, and I understand there was a recent press release, Gary, on its potential to treat an ocular condition called neuropathic corneal pain. Can you give our viewers a quick overview of OK101 and the significance of this recent press release?
Certainly, Craig. Of course, we're very excited. Just yesterday, we announced that we had dosed with our flagship drug, OK101, first patient dosed with OK101 to treat an ocular condition called neuropathic corneal pain. Obviously, we were excited because we worked very hard on this program. In fact, OK101 had already been through a major clinical trial where we generated a considerable amount of safety data. And of course, we're very excited about moving ahead with this drug to treat neuropathic corneal pain.
What makes neuropathic corneal pain such an important condition to address? And why has the company decided to specifically evaluate OK101 to treat neuropathic corneal pain?
Certainly. So it's important to stress that what we're doing is we're pioneering the clinical development of a drug, first company to actually explore a drug to treat neuropathic corneal pain where patients have been diagnosed specifically. And we've worked closely with FDA on a protocol and designed to do this. Now, neuropathic corneal pain is a major unmet medical need. It's a very serious, acute, and chronic condition for people who suffer from pain that's different from a dental pain or the kind of pain that you might have with a headache, for example, that kind of pain. We're talking about pain that stems from damage to ocular nerves, somewhat like you would consider when you have a spinal cord injury and people have terrible pain in their extremities. Same thing applies in the ocular space where you have highly innervated nerves, and that kind of pain is so excruciating and so debilitating that these patients are suffering a considerable level of pain. So neuropathic corneal pain has no FDA-approved drug, and so we are looking at is the first company to be actually exploring a drug with an IND that was cleared by FDA earlier this year to treat neuropathic corneal pain.
Was there any preclinical or clinical data that led to the decision to move forward with the clinical evaluation of OK101 to treat that neuropathic corneal pain?
Certainly, Craig. Well, first of all, what we were excited about was we've been working with one of the foremost experts in the area of neuropathic corneal pain, Dr. Pedram Hamra, who is a professor at Tufts Medical Center in Boston. He also has developed a cutting-edge model, an animal model for evaluating drugs for neuropathic corneal pain. And we were very excited in that program with Dr. Hamra, where we saw our drug OK1 displaying very significant potential in this animal model. So that was number one. Number two is in the clinical trial we just completed in dry eye disease, and a number of these patients in dry eye disease suffer corneal damage that can lead to a neuropathic corneal pain. We were excited by the results that we saw in that trial, where we actually got statistical significance in the reduction in ocular pain. The other element, of course, is that we have other preclinical data that are all demonstrating all the characteristics for why we believe this drug has real potential. And so that's what was really motivating us to take this drug, OK101, immediately now into a trial designed to evaluate it in neuropathic corneal pain.
You know, OKYO Pharma, I think it's fair to say, is leading the pack, Dr. Jacobs. OK101, for example, is the first and only drug treatment to have been dosed in patients. How does it feel to be the market leader?
Well, we're absolutely ecstatic about that. We're excited because these are patients that have no approved drug from FDA, and they are struggling with their kind of pain that's so acute that some of these patients ultimately, unfortunately, can actually lead to suicide. That's how devastating this condition can be. So we're really pleased, and we view that we're pioneering the development of the clinical program to treat people with this neuropathic corneal pain. In fact, to actually show that a drug, that a patient has neuropathic corneal pain requires a specific diagnostic tool. It's called confocal microscopy, and that's what, of course, Dr. Pedram Hamra brings to this whole exploration. This will be what we're using to diagnose patients with neuropathic corneal pain in the trial that we have just begun.
Gary, as you've been describing, this is a very serious condition, but it's also under-recognized. Again, neuropathic corneal pain. How large is the unmet medical need, Gary, and how will this trial address that gap?
Certainly. Well, the issue of whether or not this drug has what's called orphan drug designation is something that's being currently determined. In order to have orphan designation, you need under 200,000 patients. And obviously it gives the developer the value of having exclusivity with an orphan indication, something that FDA really established to encourage companies to actually develop drugs for orphan diseases. So that's, it's not clear, but what is important to remember, particularly for investors, is that a company that develops a drug where there is virtually no approved drug, first in class, has a tremendous opportunity from a commercial standpoint because there's no approved FDA drug. And that's why we believe that this is a major binary event for the company, that we believe that with the release of our data, which we're pegging for sometime this summer, this would be a very important event for the company, and one that I would argue investors in biotech ought to look at very closely in terms of an investment.
Which leads to the next question. Again, you've got a binary event here coming. In light of that, what is the essential value proposition, Gary? Why should investors take an interest in OKYO right now?
Certainly. And I think in just reinforcing what I've just said, we are a company that's a small company. This is the kind of result that literally can lead to the kind of partnerships with big pharma, the kind of final merger acquisition outcome that you have with a drug that has the potential to treat a major unmet medical need, where FDA has been making clear their need for an approved drug to treat this devastating condition.
Gary, you make a very professional and powerful case. Thanks for talking to us today.
It's my pleasure, Craig. Have a nice day.